Hi folks, this is Danny at Bradley James Classics and I'm bringing you today a Renault 5 from December 1989. Now this car is a campus model. It's covered just 68,000 miles. It has an 1100cc engine, 1108 to be precise. It's extremely bright and tidy. It's a perfect modern classic or a starter classic car for those who are just getting into the concept of perhaps having a classic car and saving some money on insurance and running costs. And it's a brilliant example of a very was at the time actually an incredibly popular little car. They made 5.5 million of these, and they were available in two iterations. One which run from the early 1970s, and I believe 1972 I think the first year was, and that one run through to the mid-80s, and then at the mid-80s this one come out, which is like a phase 2 Mark II Renault, which has a distinctly different front end. For those who remember the early car, they had the sort of indicators tucked at the end of the headlamps, and the front bumper was completely different, and yeah, different car. However, this one is available, and it's a good price point for an entry-level classic. Nothing to do on this car other than drive her away. She's been through the workshop and been checked over, and she really is on the button. A testament to the condition of the car is that it passed its MOT with no advisories, and the current MOT runs through to September 2021. I'm going to get up close and point out any slight imperfections, because obviously a car which is over 30 years old is going to have a few. Now that number plate reminds me of, I want to say, is it Georgie? You can almost make it out. Someone had a nickname for it anyway who saw the car. And actually somewhere on the internet the car has been featured by a member of the motoring press who used this very car to demonstrate what a Renault 5 is like. And I think if you search you might find it somewhere on YouTube, like you'll find this video. Now it's starts on the key. It's got two sets of keys. It looks to have its full service history, its original owner's handbook. It has two sets of keys, and it is ready really to just go into constant use. Now the campus model, I've got a feeling they sort of marketed this towards the students who wanted an inexpensive entry car, and there's not really much to go wrong because it has a complete lack of electric goodies. You won't find any electric windows. I think there's no central locking, and certainly you have to adjust the mirrors in the old-fashioned way. I'm going to have a little sit inside and we can have a look at the interior together. It's a little bit blowy here today, so hopefully you're not getting too much of that wind noise coming through on the mic, but if you are, I do apologise. Let's open the back. I think I mentioned there's no central locking, and it is obviously a 5-door car and quite spacious. I mean, you could certainly get a few pals in the back there. You could even squeeze one in the middle because there's a seat belt for a middle, but only a lap belt. Very basic in that we've got these windy windows. A distinct lack of kit in these cars, but if I just jump in and I'll run over what we have got. A very pleasant design, typically French. They were always a little different. You could even say a little quirky. Dear little steering wheel. You won't find an airbag in this era of car. What it has got going for it, it's quite a fancy Sony Stereo, and if you lift that flap up you can plug in something for your USB, and you can plug in your, I think it's a 3.5mm headphone socket jack there, so auxiliary in. So that looks to be like a, is that a removable front CD player? Do you know, I can't even see if you can put CDs in. Must be losing my touch. Do you know what, I don't think you can. I think it's just a radio and you put MP3s in, so I'm afraid if you've got any CDs they won't be getting played in here. Nice bright dashboard. It's just 68,000 miles, and there's been two previous owners, and the previous owner of this car's had the car since, I believe it was 2001, so virtually, well, 20 years. There's a remote control for that stereo with no CD player. Very basic controls here. This controls your heating, distribution of air. Here's washer jets for the rear wiper. And indicators to this side. The gear stick is in a more conventional space in the Series 2 car because if you remember, those who do know their Renaults, they were always up on the dashboard here, the early car. But there's a 4-speed gearbox. There's no power steering. So it is a basic car. It's got a really nice headlining in here, and they sort of use the body colour from the outside on the inside. I'll show you also there's a nice bit of boot space. So it's very pleasant inside, and actually inside it's in remarkably good condition. As you can imagine, for the age, there's a few scratches here and there on the grey plastic work, which they tended to do. But other than that, I've got to say, a very pleasant interior. Now I'm going to go slowly around the outside, and I'm going to show you any bodywork imperfections, because there are one or two little dents and battle scars from a car which is getting on a bit. So we're going to start at this this door. So someone's touched up a bit of a scratch here, and you can see it's slightly darker red paint. But then when we go down to where that campus sign is, this area at the bottom of the door and the seal is all in very nice order. This back door has survived very well, as has this rear panel. Now there's a bit of discoloration here, but to be fair, it has been parked under a tree, so there are a few of these on the car, which I apologise. But I can assure you, we always give our cars a nice clean before they go out. They also will go through our workshop, and even though we've done a pre-sales inspection, we always do a pre-delivery inspection to make sure the car is fit to hit the road. The tyres are all good. There's no wheel trims or alloy wheels to worry about. There just simply isn't any. This back panel looks to be in good order. The rear door has had a bit of paint come off at some stage there. Doesn't look too drastic. And this is the passenger side front door, and here's a bit of a parking dent, but again nothing terrible. When you step back a few feet it almost disappears. The front wing looks to be in good condition, as does the bonnet, which has been touched up in a few areas. You can see someone's done a bit of dabbing in with a paint stick here and there, and there's a little bit of a dent here, and I don't know if that's a pigeon has had an unfortunate end or something. The plastics are good, and we do have a silicone product which goes on plastics, and it does make them really shiny, so we'll get that done before it goes out. This front wing has picked up a bit of a dent here. It's a bit tricky to see in this light, but it has got a minor dent here. And I think we're round to the other side. Looking across the top of the roof, that looks in good order. No sunroof, no leaks. And there is the car aerial. So that is a quick walk around the outside. We've had a look on the inside. I mentioned to you that this car starts on the button. I did promise you 2 sets of keys, and there they are. And let's have a little look inside the boot. And remarkably, this one's still got its dealer sticker on, and it does have the number plate from when it was supplied. That's always a nice thing. And what is another nice little touch? I've even got a little Renault key ring. So one of these keys is bound to open the boot eventually. There we go. And here we are. There's a set of wheel trims which you can fit if you wish. There's a spare wheel, and there's a few bits and pieces in that box, which is always nice to have with a car. And despite the fact we've got some stuff in the boot, it is a pretty reasonable sized boot. If I just sort of move that out a bit, you'll see that you've got a bit of space. You can also fold the seat, and you can get a bit more in there. Again, for those who know their Renaults and know the history of these hatchback cars, this was one of the original hatchbacks, one of the original Super Minis. Not the original, but bearing in mind 1972 would have been quite early for a hatchback car and a Super Mini, and Renault, as I say, really was one of the early ones. She's all solid underneath. There isn't any mention of any corrosion on past MOTs, and I think I promised you a bit of paperwork, so let's have a little look at that, and you'll see that someone really has cared enough to keep all of the invoices, past MOTs, and we can trace back the fact that the car is, since the mid-1980s or the late 1980s, has only managed to do 68,000 miles. It's nice to have the driver's handbook, which is present. And then if I pull those away, let's start off by looking at some of these. Oh, in fact, I've got a feeling, I think I was told they have all the old MOTs. Well, here we are. Well, back in let me see, 1994 was probably its first MOT, and it just had 7,000 miles at the time. And there's a chunk of them in there. And this one's up to 2015, and it had only had 31,000 miles then. And then if I look through this pile, I can find even more MOTs, and that's where they've got the modern MOT. And of course the logbook is present, and then a whole bunch of invoices. Let me show you from a different angle. I'll show you that way, and you can see that it's had caring owners who've kept all of the corresponding paperwork. Well folks, just to recap, that is a 1989 Renault 5 Campus, so it's a basic model, 68,000 miles. It's had 2 previous owners, and the last owner has had it for over 10 years. The car starts on the button, it drives very nicely. It's a very easy car to drive. I happen to have the key here, so it's got an old-fashioned choke lever, which means it's rather easy to start even in the cold. You just pull the choke up or down. Now I've just driven here, so they won't need any choke. So and as you can tell, she starts on the button. She's very nice. That's first gear, and away she goes. Very easy to drive. I'm in a private bit of land here, so no need to panic too much. And yeah, she's a pleasure to drive. Starts on the button, and a good starter, modern classic car. Everything works. Yeah, she's in stock now. Well, if you would like to come and take this car away, or view this car, or even have this car delivered, please get in touch. We offer nationwide delivery at a very good price. No warning lights. The only warning light on there is the handbrake, which is now off, and it's back on again. You are of course happy to come and collect this car. I've got no reason to believe that this car won't drive you anywhere you need to go. And yeah, please get in touch. Thank you for watching the video, folks. It's Danny at Bradley James Classics, signing out.